Central Texas, good afternoon, and welcome to another Teletown Hall with Congressman John Carter and two folks from the Small Business Administration who are here and ready to address your concerns as Texas and the nation gathers steam in the aftermath of actually right in the middle of the coronavirus. So we're going to have a great discussion and some Q&A with some real experts today, and it's a real privilege to have all the folks here. We'd love to get a question in from you. The way to do that is press *3 on your phone. *3 will get you talking to one of our call screeners who can get you in queue to ask a question of our guest today. We want to keep our questions focused on small business issues, business recovery. We've got folks who are experts on how the small business program is working, how the disaster loans are working, and all that great stuff. So if you've got a question on another area, I'd ask you to shoot a note to the Congressman on his website, and that's www.carter.house.gov. But the big issue, the big number right now, *3 on your phone, get you in the mix to talk to our screeners. And without any, and by the way, I'm Grady. I'm the Congressman's Legislative Director, and I'll be monitoring and moderating today's call or today's discussion. And without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Congressman John Carter. On to you, boss.
Good afternoon to everybody. Welcome. This is your Congressman John Carter, and thank you very much for joining us here on this telephone town hall today. I know everybody's way of life has been drastically changed due to this coronavirus pandemic, and I wanted to give you an update on the work Congress has been doing in response to this coronavirus. And I've invited David Elizondo from the Small Business Administration, and he has a couple of colleagues, one or two colleagues with him. And they're going to try to give you information about what I think is a Main Street program for our district that is being handled by the Small Business Administration and the local bankers. I know that if you're trying to navigate this new normal, and wanted to make sure you had a chance to hear about whatever is available as a small business owner to connect you with the resources you need. I, too, will be listening and learning from this conversation, and all my staff is listening and learning because we are here to learn, too. I'll kick this back to Grady Bourne. He'll moderate this call, and once again, thank you to the Small Business Administration. David, thank you to you, and thanks to all who called in. You got it, Grady.
All right, thank you, boss. Remember, folks, *3 on your phones to get in the mix, to get some questions over to our friends of the Small Business Administration. We've already got a couple questions coming up, but before we do that, I'd like to get maybe David and then Elizabeth to talk a little bit about what small business is doing, how they're here to help. And David, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the Deputy District Director out of the San Antonio office, and Elizabeth is with the Office of Disaster Assistance. So, folks, we got some real deal experts here today, and like the Congressman said, we're going to be listening and learning on our end, and I know you guys will too. So, without any further ado, I'd like to kick it over to David for some few words, then maybe pass it over to Elizabeth, and then hopefully we'll get the questions happening right after that. So, on to you, David.
All right, thank you, Grady, and thank you to the Congressman for allowing the SBA to participate in today's conference call. Again, my name is David Elizondo, the Deputy District Director for the San Antonio District Office. We cover Central and South Texas, in total encompassing 55 counties in Texas, so it's stretching as far as north as Leander, Texas, all the way down to Laredo, Texas. And I fall under the Office of Field Operations, and to enhance today's presentation, I also invited Office of Disaster Assistance Public Information Officer Elizabeth Vargas to help field some questions about the economic injury disaster loans that are available to small businesses and nonprofits, I should say, as well. And then we'll also talk more about the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program and how small businesses can benefit from that. So that's a little quick introduction about myself. I'll kick it over to Elizabeth, who can talk a little more about the economic injury disaster loans.
Hello. My name is Elizabeth Vargas. I'm a public information officer with the Office of Disaster Assistance, at the U.S. Small Business Administration. Well, right now, SBA offers economic injury disaster loans for up to $2 million to small businesses and nonprofit organizations suffering from the economic injury as a result of the coronavirus. These loans may be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that the business has. The interest rates are 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for private nonprofit organizations. The long term is up to 30 years, and the first payment on these loans is deferred for 12 months. Within these economic disaster loan, businesses are eligible to apply for a loan advance for up to $10,000. These funds will be available within a few days, and if approved, these funds can be used for payroll and other operating expenses and will be forgiven. We have a streamlined application, and when you are ready, I will repeat it again. For the application website, it's COVID-19 relief.sba.gov. You can apply online 100%, and we have a customer service number that is 800-659-2955. I will repeat it later again, and we have our website, which is sba.gov/disaster.
There you go. Tons of great info, and like Elizabeth said, we'll be repeating that info throughout. And let me give you a couple websites already. She did mention SBA.gov. That's the Small Business Administration's website. I also want to mention Congressman Carter's website, carter.house.gov, and we've got a lot of kind of shared resources on there. So I think there's lots of ways to get this kind of critical info that I know a lot of folks are looking for. We've already got some great calls, and I think I want to kick it over to, and I know Elizabeth touched on this a little bit, but maybe we can walk through it a little bit. Kathy's got a question about, how do you begin this loan process? How do you start from step one? Kathy, you are on with our friends from the SBA to ask your question. Over to you, Kathy.
Hi there. Thank you so much for providing this valuable resource. Thank you, Congressman Carter. And I'll be very brief. I'm a custom home builder in Georgetown, Texas. And, of course, as you can imagine, we are really in some dire straits right now and just want to be very proactive in getting out in front and being able to possibly access this resource. So I'm wondering if you can just tell me what my first steps are.
Elizabeth, are you on the end? I can answer. So, Kathy, thank you very much for your question. This is exactly why we're having this call today, so we can point people to the right direction for disaster assistance. So, if you want an overview of how SBA is helping out small businesses, my recommendation would be this, ma'am. Go to sba.gov, which is smallbusinessadministration.gov / specific to the coronavirus. You can go to /coronavirus. So it's sba.gov /coronavirus. And you could see the different types of programs that are available for small businesses impacted by the coronavirus. Additionally, if you want to speak to someone, we have our disaster assistance line that Elizabeth mentioned once. I'll repeat it again. Is 1-800-659-2955.
Great intel from our friends at SBA. We're going to be repeating that data throughout. So if you miss it, stick on the line. We're going to get back to you. We'll get back to that information. And if you miss it, don't hesitate to reach out to Congressman Carter. We'll make sure you got all the right numbers and the right website addresses. Another great question from Renee. And remember, folks, let me step back. *3 on your phone, get you in the queue to ask questions. Keep them focused on small business issues, recovery from the coronavirus, and how the small business can help get businesses in Texas back on track. Great question from Renee about what if bank is not participating in a disaster loan? How do they get help? So, Renee, you're on with our friends from the Small Business Administration.
Hi, yes. We bank with a small Texas bank, and they are not participating in the SB 7 program. So how do we go about working with a bank to secure these loans?
Great question, Renee. You have a few options, ma'am. The first one is if you want to contact our lead lender relations specialist. Her name is Cindy with a C, so it's Cindy. Last name is Solano, Solano, and she can provide you a list of SBA participating lenders who is going to be distributing these loans based on requirements that they have, right? The other option is if you go to our district office webpage, which is, if you go to Google, type in SBA San Antonio District Office, and on there, we're in the process of uploading a list of participating lenders who's going to be participating in the CARES Act.
No, more great info for sure, folks. Again, Grady, your moderator here for today's town hall with David and Elizabeth from the Small Business Administration with Congressman John Carter listening in. Another great question, something I would have never thought about, but I'm glad somebody else is thinking about it, about the interest rates on this and some flexibility on that. So I'm going to kick it over to Mike, who's got a question about interest rate issues. Mike, you are on with the SBA.
Hello, this is Mike Kirkpatrick. I've currently got an SBA loan that we opened our business with, and they've been kind enough to defer payments temporarily here. We're paying like 7.5% interest rates. Is there any way to refinance these under this new program to extend the terms to the 20-year program or 30-year program?
So regarding existing SBA loans, so yes, the banks have discretion to do a 6-month deferment. When it comes to the CARES Act, that doesn't necessarily target refinancing of existing SBA loans. That would be something that I would highly recommend talking to your loan officer to negotiate refinancing terms. What we encourage folks is if your business was impacted by the coronavirus, is to look into the economic injury disaster loan, the advanced loans too, where you can possibly get an answer within a few days, up to $10,000, or it is $10,000 actually, by simply applying for disaster assistance.
We're taking some online questions as well, and got an interesting question from a Dr. Shaw. Is it correct that we can only get one of the loans, either disaster relief, SBA, or Paycheck, or can folks get both? David, Elizabeth, what do you know about that issue?
It's for both. So to Dr. Shaw's point there, so the Paycheck Protection Program will provide capital to keep employees on payroll and small businesses operating. You cannot use your economic injury disaster loan for the same purpose as your Paycheck Protection Program. In other words, you cannot double dip. So if you can distinguish what you're going to use the Paycheck Protection Program for and the economic injury disaster loan, then yes, you can apply for both.
But not the same purpose. One maybe for payroll and another for overhead or something along those lines.
Right, that is correct, sir.
Good deal. Hey, again, folks, *3 on your phone to get in line. We've got some amazing questions and some amazing intel here from the real experts. So this has been really great, and we're just getting started here. Let me look at a question here. Not everybody has internet access. Oh, by all means, Elizabeth. Please chime in.
Yes. For the economic injury disaster loans, people don't have to go through a bank. It's directly with SBA, Office of Disaster Assistance. They can go directly to the Streamline application, and the link is COVID-19relief.sba.gov. It's a very simple application that they can fill out right away, and they can apply there for the loan advance for up to $10,000. So it's very important for people to know this is directly with the SBA, so they don't need to go through the bank. The PPP, it's through an SBA lender.
Good deal. And I will point out, folks, if you do go to SBA's website, sba.gov, you will not miss their coronavirus guidance and resources. It's the first thing you see. There's this big picture of the coronavirus itself, which I wish none of us ever had to see again, but they've definitely got a great website that'll direct you right to the stuff and the information that you need, and really stepping up there to make sure that information is ready and available for folks. Again, *3 on your phone, get in the mix, get in the line to talk directly to our friends here at the SBA. Another great question from Robert about the real issue of what's the timing on these loans, the time frame. So, Robert, you are on with our friends from the SBA.
Hey, thank you very much. My wife and I have a mini salon, which in Bell County has been shut down for 2 weeks now. It's going to be shut down a minimum of another 4 weeks. We went through the application process for the EIDL, through all the iterations of it, finally have our confirmation number. But what's the time frame we're looking at on these? Because as a mini salon, as an independent owner, if we don't have customers coming in, we don't have income, but we still have to pay rent, utilities, and everything else. So what time frame are we looking at for advances or the whole loan period?
Great question. What do our friends at SBA know about that?
Yes, well, we are processing very quickly, and you will be notified as soon as your loan is approved. If you apply for the $10,000 advance, you should get approved and get it within a few days. I don't know if you already applied for the advance. If your application was before the advance was available, you must reapply.
And let's just say, for example, Elizabeth, let's say I have a small business, it's April 1st, I apply for not just the $10,000 loan, a larger amount. I mean, are we talking 2 weeks? Are we talking 3 weeks? Are we talking a month? I mean, what do we know so far about the timeline?
We don't have like a specific timeline because
Sure.
we are getting a lot of applications, but I will say 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow.
And if you have a doubt or time has gone through, they can call 1-800-659-2955. And also there is an email address, and it's disastercustomerservice@sba.gov.
SBA is available for the people, it seems like, and that's good to hear for sure. So, and speaking of the people, we got a bit of a special guest here online, one of our beloved Texas representatives, Brad Buckley, out of the 54th District in Texas, wants to chime in real quick. So, Mr. Buckley, you're on with David, Elizabeth, and Congressman Carter.
Hey, thank you very much. I just wanted to thank Congressman Carter for all his work on behalf of small business in Central Texas. The programs highlighted today on this call are extremely important to keeping Texans employed and keeping our economy going and getting it back up and running when we defeat the coronavirus. I also wanted to thank our partners at SBA for all their work. The Paycheck Protection Program is extremely popular, and folks are reaching out to us all the time in Central Texas, and we know it's an important part of our future. So just briefly, I wanted to thank everybody for all their work, and we look forward to being a partner in this to connect people to the services and the relief that they need to get things back on track in Central Texas. Thank you all very much.
Oh, great words from Mr. Buckley. We appreciate you chiming in, sir. And no doubt I want to echo that sentiment. Our friends at SBA are doing yeoman's work here. As are a lot of folks in the federal government. Let's not forget about, our heroes at NIH that are working day and night to find a cure for this, and all our folks on the front line, from our frontline first responders to our nurses and doctors and everybody doing the real work to keep people safe and healthy, along with our law enforcement and all that stuff. So tough times bring about some tough people, and you're seeing it in spades right now for sure in Texas and across the nation. So *3 on your phone. That's my favorite number right now. Actually, my favorite number is 800-659-2955. That's the SBA number to get some further info and help on all this. But my next favorite number is *3, get you in the line to ask questions of our expert friends here. And, well, I'd say an important question here. Congressman Carter is so proud to represent Fort Hood, and he represents the largest population of veterans in Texas and the seventh largest population of veterans in the U.S. of A. And it's something he's enormously proud to represent. And got a question from Tommy about veteran-owned companies and any help for that. So, Tommy, you are on with our friends David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Hello, Senator Mr. Carter, Deborah, Elizabeth. My wife and I have two veteran-owned small construction companies. Also, we're farmers and ranchers in Williamson and Bell County. We're keeping all of our employees on, even though some are quarantined and some are sick. We're trying to keep all of our employees because we were doing great before all this hit us, and we were actually expanding, looking for more employees. But another problem we have is all of our construction equipment piling up on us because we got like 12 pieces of construction equipment we're buying. We had just ordered a bunch more equipment that was scheduled to be shipped, and we're wondering what's allowed on the loan as far as construction equipment, and if there's anything that can be done for farming and ranching.
Great question, sir, and wanted to thank you for your service, you and your wife, that is. Here's my recommendation. Number one, if you have not already, apply for the disaster assistance. It sounds like you're a small business owner who's been impacted by this coronavirus. I want to reiterate what Elizabeth mentioned earlier about these disaster loans are directly through SBA website. So instead of the Paycheck Protection Program, which is through SBA participating lenders, you're dealing directly with the federal government for this disaster loans. Number two, we actually have what we call an SBA resource partner called the Veterans Business Outreach Center. I'll say that again. It's the Veterans Business Outreach Center. They may not be located nearly Austin, but they do cover Central and South Texas, and their sole mission is to help service members who are small business owners. My recommendation is to go to their website, which is www.utrgv, that's Uniform, Tango, Romeo, Golf, Victor, .edu, which is Echo, Delta, Uniform, /VBOC, as in Victor, Bravo, Oscar, Charlie. This office is stood up to specifically help, again, service members and spouses of service members who are small business owners, especially in times like this where they need technical assistance with their business plans, financial projections. These individuals are operating under grants given by the Small Business Administration to provide these services to you, sir, at no charge.
Great info for sure from SBA and being there for the veterans, which is always great to see. Hey, folks, as we're going to take a moment here, I want to give you a couple phone numbers. Mentioned before, SBA, 800-659-2955. Congressman Carter has got 3 offices that are staying ready to assist you any way we can. We've got an office in Round Rock, 512-246-1600, and another office in Temple, Texas, 254-933-1392. And the folks there at the Round Rock and Temple office are casework staff extraordinaire. So if you've got any issues with Uncle Sam or SBA or Social Security or the VA or whatever, they stand ready to assist, and they're just superb at doing it. Or you can call the D.C. office where I work, 202-225-3864, and the 3 offices work together hand in glove to be there for Texas's 31st Congressional District. And, of course, www.carter.house.gov, open 24/7 website. We've also got a great resource page for not only just small business stuff related to the coronavirus, but everything else, and we're making additions to that all the time and trying to keep that up to date. So that'd be a great first stop for folks if they want to learn some of the basics of where we go as the coronavirus is doing what it does. And, of course, SBA.gov has got some great resources for our small business friends as we kind of get businesses back on track and make our way through this challenging time for sure. More questions on the queue. I love them. *3 will get you in the line to get in the mix. Quick question from Carl. Not everybody maybe has online access. Does SBA take paper applications? So, Carl, you are on with our friends at SBA. Carl, are you there? He may not be there. He's just got a question of will the SBA take paper application or is it all online? David, Elizabeth, you have an answer on that?
Yes, we prefer everything online, but we do have an address, a mailing address that they can mail in their application.
Okay. And I assume, would it probably be best for him to call that 800 number to kind of maybe figure out the best way forward there?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good deal.
You can get an answer and talk to someone.
There you go, Carl. 800-659-2955. SBA is ready to serve online, paper, whatever it takes. Another great question. Michael's got an interesting question about low interest and the type of loans he could get. So, Michael, you're on with our friends from SBA.
Hello, guys. My name's Michael, and I was curious about the loans. I know y'all said they were 3.75% interest. Are any of them going to be forgiven at any time, or is there another way we can get a loan for more money if we have multiple businesses?
On the economic injury, is that it?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. On the economic injury disaster loans, the loan advance for up to $10,000, that will be forgiven if used on payroll and other operating expenses. And then David can tell you about the Paycheck Protection Program.
So yes, the payroll protection program is another alternative source of a loan if the disaster loan may not be enough to cover. So the way the Paycheck Protection Program works is if you are eligible for it, it is an interest rate of only 0.5%. So it's, again, not 5%, but 0.5. It does have a maturity of 2 years. The first payment is deferred by 6 months. So, again, we're trying to help small businesses get back on their feet. So payment deferral for 6 months. And, again, this is specific to the Paycheck Protection Program. No collateral is required, and there's no borrower or lender fees payable to the Small Business Administration.
Good deal. Hey, folks, Grady again, your moderator for today's Teletown Hall. Star 3 will get you in the line. Keep our questions focused on SBA issues and economic recovery issues, and so far we've got a lot of great questions on that topic. And I know an industry that's been hurt, not just in Texas, but here in D.C. and all across the nation, is our beloved friends in the restaurant industry. And Javier's got an important question, restaurateur there in Round Rock. So, Javier, you are on with our friends David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Yes, I want to thank everyone for putting this forward. I think that last question kind of answered a little bit of what I was wondering about. Is there a limit, or if you have a restaurant, you're only applying for the amount that they're like for the payroll protection program? Or can you ask for more, or is there a different loan that you're supposed to request for?
So regarding the disaster loans, the economic injury disaster loans can go all the way up to $2 million. I do know that if, let's say, you initially apply and you only receive $30,000, but 2 months down the road you need another $20,000, you would work with your loan officer to ask for an increase, which it's possible to get an increase. I won't say it's impossible to get an increase on your loan, on your current SBA disaster loan.
Good deal. Great info any way you slice it. Antonia, has got a great question about credit issues and exactly what kind of credit's being checked for our hardworking sole proprietors there in Texas. So, Antonia, you are on with David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration.
Hi, thank you so much again for this call. It's very informative. I had a question. With sole props, I know that usually they go by your personal credit score in order to get you approved. What if you're not approved for the loan? What type of relief are for small businesses then?
In the case of the economic injury disaster loans, we have lowered the credit score, and it's a case-by-case scenario. If you are not approved, you have 6 months to resubmit your application in case you were able to fix your credit. Sometimes there is something that you may fix, and you will have the chance to reapply. On the PPP, David will let you know.
Good deal. SBA is working hard to be flexible. And remember, you can get SBA 800-659-2955 or SBA.gov. And, of course, you can hit up Congressman Carter's website, carter.house.gov. Renata, hope I'm pronouncing her name right. It's got a question about grants versus loans and what's out there for small businesses. So, Renata, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Hey, how y'all doing? I had a question. Like the loans are great. The interest rates sound all great and things. But when you're a small business, sometimes you already have accumulated up debt. And when you get a loan, you're kind of putting yourself in more debt. So I was wondering, are y'all offering any type of grants for the small businesses? Or is it only loans?
On the economic injury disaster loans, the $10,000 loan advance may be a grant, will be forgiven if it is used for payroll and some operating expenses. If you check on our Streamline application, you can get all the information there, and that will become a grant up to $10,000 on the economic injury disaster loans. David?
Yes, that's correct. And then depending on the industry that you are in, so let's say you're in an industry that does exporting, there's also something called the State Trade Expansion Program. Again, that's State Trade Expansion Program. That's another grant available to small businesses that are exporting products and or services up to $10,000 as well.
Good deal. And a question here, I think we may have touched on this a little bit earlier, but not everybody is down in with a specific bank. And Raju, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct, has got a question about SBA loans for folks that may not be a customer of a specific bank. Raju, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Yeah, I got I inquired about the local, approved lender, the bank that who does SBA, but I don't have an account or business with them. And when I approached them, they're saying they're going to process the applications that they are existing bank customer first, because it just, because they are there and they want to help them first before, they help non-customers of the bank. So where we go, where we have an account, those banks, if not SBA approved, so how we can go find that who can, take application?
So it depends on what type of loan that you're applying for. Are you applying for the economic injury disaster loan or the Paycheck Protection Program? If you're applying for the Paycheck Protection Program, we have a list of SBA participating lenders who can assist you, and we're uploading our website with that information. If you go to sba.gov/TX/San Antonio, that'll take you to our website where at the bottom of our main page, you'll see a list of lenders that we will provide.
Good deal. Lots of resources out there for folks that are with banks, without banks, and trying to be there for everybody. So great question from Bridget about issues for single employee companies, which are definitely all throughout Texas and the rest of our great nation. So Bridget, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting us to be on this call today. It's been very insightful. My question is, I own 2 gymnastics and cheerleading centers, one in Temple and one in Killeen. And I do have one general contractor that I do hire. She doesn't have any other employees under her. And I have just applied for the payroll protection. Could she qualify, or could I qualify to be able to include her in my payroll?
Is that for the Paycheck Protection Program or for the EIDL loan?
That is for the Paycheck Protection Program.
My recommendation would be to work with the bank that you applied for the Paycheck Protection Program to see what their requirements are, ma'am.
Good deal, Bridget. Hope that answers your questions here. Grady, again, your moderator for today's this afternoon's Teletown Hall. Remember, *3 get you in line to ask some SBA-related, small business recovery-related questions to David and Elizabeth, our expert friends with the SBA. And just a reminder, David is the Deputy District Director out of the San Antonio office, and Elizabeth is with the Disaster Assistance Office, providing some real expert advice. Congressman Carter's listening in, and we got all sorts of folks from across Central Texas that are in the line listening in and looking forward to getting some great questions. And again, it's just been an absolute amazing array of incredible questions and some more great ones in the queue.
Grady.
Yes, sir.
I'm worried about something. I want to get them to make it clear. Talking about 2 different loans available, and those under the CARE Act, there's a lot of confusion, and I want David to kind of give an outline of how it works, because the CARE Act is for basically retaining employees. So therefore, that is, if you are using this for payroll or benefits that are part of your benefit program for your employees, and they do have a way to deal with independent contractors, then that goes through your banker. You go to your banker for that, and he works the program with you. That's what y'all have been talking about. And there's a lot of confusion that people think they get that do other expenses. The other expenses will continue to be a loan, the way I understand it, but the payroll part of the CARE Act would be, if you do everything right, which you will, would be ultimately become a grant. And then you need to realize that you're talking about 2 different loans when we talk to the lady from California versus the gentleman from San Antonio. So would y'all clarify that so they know that, please?
Absolutely, and I appreciate the question, Congressman, and the feedback. So the CARES Act was signed into law last week, Friday, March 27th. So as we speak right now, the policies are currently being executed. We should hopefully have an answer, in the next 24 to 72 hours to provide guidance on how to implement. And to the Congressman's point there, he's absolutely right that the loan, 75% of it must be used, will be forgiven if used for payroll purposes. And so the Paycheck Protection Program is executed by SBA participating lenders, while the economic injury disaster loans is something that's controlled directly through the U.S. Small Business Administration. So for the Paycheck Protection Program, we have a list of SBA participating lenders who will execute this program, while the SBA side, where Elizabeth works, will execute the economic injury disaster loan and the loan advance.
Good deal. Great info. Any way you slice it. Again, lots of ways for SBA to be there. Assistance, SBA.gov is their website with some great info there. And again, *3 gets you in the line to talk directly to our expert friends here who are taking time out of their day to assist you with your concerns. Chris has got an important question about issues happening with nonprofits, which are so important in Texas and throughout the nation. So, Chris, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration.
Hi, thank you so much for having this. So my name is Chris, and I work for a very small nonprofit. We are a 501c3 providing equine therapy. We do mental health work for kids who have experienced trauma, kids and families. And so my question is, are any of these programs supporting 501c3s specifically? Because looking at the SBA website, it only mentions a veterans or a C-19. So I'm curious about the 501c3 specifically.
On the economic injury disaster loans, nonprofit organizations of any size are eligible for those loans and for the $10,000 loan advance also. So if you may go to the website and you can apply directly, it's a 100% online application. The website is COVID-19relief.sba.gov. And I will repeat COVID, COVID-19relief.sba.gov. And also you can call the 1-800 number, 659-2955.
Great resources from our friends there at the SBA. Mariano, I think I'm pronouncing the name correct, got a question about the time frame of the loan and what will be covered. Mariano, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking my question. I do have a question. I have a small business, and I apply for a loan, but to calculate how much would I need to cover expenses and payroll for up to 3 months or 6 months, or how do I go about that to know what amount to apply for?
David.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Any intel from our friends there?
Yes, it's not a problem. To determine eligibility, one of the requirements in the application is your financial statements as well. So whenever you submit your application, if the loan officer has any additional questions, they will be reaching out to you directly. Based on your financial statements, that's where a determination will be made of how much the loan amount will be approved for, in addition to the $10,000 that Elizabeth has mentioned as far as the advance.
Great info any way you slice it. Look here. I guess there's a question from Kurt about community banks and their involvement in this issue. So, Kurt, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all taking the time to do this. One of my questions was, we have a number of customers that are expecting to come in on Friday and submit application and hopefully be approved in a reasonable time frame. And we've tried to get some information from SBA as far as the banks that are approved. We're an approved lender. We do not know if we are certified, and the SBA has not been able to answer the question what the certified designation applies to. We've not been able to get a list of the approved banks. And I'm aware of other community banks that are not approved SBA lenders that have the same question about an application to submit in order to become a part of the program. And I know that the Treasury and the SBA have approval authority to include FDIC insured institutions. We have not been given specific information so that we can help our clients. We want to make sure that this is, with the limited amount of time that the customers may have because of the limited amount of funds, we want to make sure that our customers get taken care of in a timely manner. So anything you could do to address that would be greatly appreciated.
Important questions, no doubt.
What side of Texas, where are you located at, sir, in Texas?
Actually, he's listening in, so he's probably somewhere in Bell and Williamson County. So,
Williamson County, okay. My recommendation to Kurt would be to contact his lender relations specialist that he works with within the SBA office, and we can provide that information offline as well to make sure that we're providing the most up-to-date information that we've received.
Good deal. Men, folks, *3 get you in the line to ask some questions of our friends at the SBA. An important question from Lynn about rehiring former employees. Lynn, you are on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Afternoon. First of all, thank you also for continuing the access to the local business development centers. My advisor, Steve Sergai, he's been updating me daily by email, so that's really appreciated. My husband and I own a Artis Foot Care. It's a retail and foot care facility in Bell County. We mainly employ, aside from ourselves, college students. So my question is in reference to the Paycheck Protection Program loan. I did on March 20th lay off my key part-timer. She's not a college student. She's a regular employee. I just worried I wouldn't be able to pay her, and I encouraged her to apply for unemployment. She did. Now, she has been denied, but she has not yet received benefits. So my question is, I'm worried about being penalized if I do take out the PPP loan for the payroll going forward. Do I need to rehire her?
So the guidelines that we received for the Paycheck Protection Program states that the program will be available retroactive from February 15th, 2020, so employers can rehire the recently laid off employees through June 30th, 2020.
There you go. Good intel. Hey, folks, remember, SBA.gov has got great resources here, and Carter.house.gov has got some additional great resources. We talked earlier about how the restaurant industry across the nation has been really impacted, and as most of us know, a lot of restaurant employees are tipped employees, make their money off of tips from customers. And Evan has got a question about how those folks are going to be impacted and what can be done. So, Evan, you're on with David and Elizabeth from the SBA.
So I'm trying to understand, getting a better idea about how the forgiveness will be calculated. And when I'm looking at it, the ratio is a little vague in that it's clearly the number of employees you had divided by the number of employees that you have, but the ones you retain is an average, but it doesn't really indicate how long that average is calculated. So over what period of time do you divide it into? And then in the restaurant industry, when you're quote unquote paying somebody, and if they are a tipped employee, at what rate should we be calculating that for the payroll forgiveness? I'm sorry, for the payroll protection when trying to have it forgiven.
Important questions, no doubt. What do you know, David and Elizabeth?
So for any specific questions, I know it's on a case-by-case basis. Again, I would refer small businesses to that 1-800 number to make a determination to see what kind of assistance they will be eligible for.
And that number is 800-659-2955 is kind of your catch-all number for our friends there at the SBA. Lots of great questions here, no doubt, and hearing from all sorts of folks from all sorts of sectors there in Central Texas. I guess we got a great question here from Robert about spouse issues and W-2 issues and qualifying for relief. Robert, you are on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Thanks, everybody. Congressman Carter, thank you for putting this on. This is very helpful. I am a sole proprietor, and my wife is a W-2 employee at my agency, and I want to find out from you if that would make us eligible for the Paycheck Protection. Yes.
Great question. What do you folks know there, David and Elizabeth?
So for the payroll protection program, for specifics, my recommendation is to go to our website, which is sba.gov/coronavirus. If it pertains to the injury disaster loan, then I would recommend calling the 1-800 number 659-2955.
There you go. That's the magic number for sure. Interesting question from Richard about the 500 employee threshold in the SBA loan situation. So, Richard, you are on with David and Elizabeth from the SBA.
Thank you, Grady, and thank you, Congressman Carter, for the work you do for Central Texas, and David and Elizabeth, the work that you guys do for small businesses. I'm an attorney and represent a post-acute care provider in Williamson County, Bridgemore Transitional Care, and we will qualify as a small business for the Payroll Protection Act going in. However, we are a post-acute care provider, and if you look at the environment, there is a great opportunity that our facilities will fill up with folks that need care due to COVID, and when that happens, we'll have to accelerate hiring and bringing on employees, which ultimately could push us over the 500 employee cap during the term of the loan. So is there any type of penalty if we exceed 500 during the life of the loan, taking into consideration that we would qualify going in?
Great question, no doubt. What do our friends at SBA know?
If I'm not mistaken, it's the time of the application, but Elizabeth, can you elaborate?
Yes, on the economic injury loans, you can check with the North American Industry Classification System, and or you can just simply apply if you're going to do the economic injury disaster loan, and the loan officer will get back to you on that. But it will be easier for you to check with the NAICS.
You go, folks, and remember SBA.gov 800-659-2955 if you need further clarity and further info. Really important question from Scott, asking about kind of the limits of what these loans can be used for. So, Scott, you are on with David and Elizabeth with the SBA.
Well, I did get a little clarity in when Congressman Carter had some explanations clarified, but it had brought up some other questions. From what I understand, the employees, the CARE Act specifically handles the employees' payroll issues. I'm wondering, does it include, well, it does include benefits, but as well as payroll taxes or the company share of payroll taxes, does it include? And there was some almost statement of the forgiveness limit may be 75%. Was that should not have been stated? And then there's the $10,000 advance on the economic side on the SBA loan, but there was something mentioned about forgiveness of the $10,000, and how does that work?
So I'll start off with the Paycheck Protection Program, and I'll let Elizabeth further elaborate on the disaster loan. So for the Paycheck Protection Program, the loan will be fully forgiven if the funds are used for payroll costs, interest on mortgage, rent, and utilities. That said, at least 75% of the forgiven amount must have been used for payroll purposes.
And on the economic injury loan advance, that will be or can be up to $10,000. Those funds can be used for payroll and other operating expenses, and they will also be forgiven. That you can check online on the Streamline application, or you can call the 1-800 number if you want to know beforehand the total amount that you will get for the loan advance.
Got a friend here in Round Rock doing an educational center. I think it's Gvan or Gvon. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Got a question about personal credit, ability to get a loan, and some questions along that line. So Gvan or Gvon, let me know how you pronounce your name. You are on with David and Elizabeth.
Hey, thank you for doing this. This is really great information. It sounds Javon, by the way, but I do have a question in regards to this. We started not too long ago, like September. We opened the doors on this education center, It is a franchise. However, we have employees to pay with this, and we used a lot of personal assets and stuff like that, which in return kind of screwed up the credit ratings. Okay, how would that work in regards to we didn't get a loan or anything? How would that work into getting an express loan or a any loan, for instance, with the SBA?
You were cutting in and out a little bit there, but yeah, Yvonne, I think you're cutting in and out there a little bit. I guess the question that we have listed up here is recently started a small business, used personal asset and income, which has impacted his personal credit, and would that impact him getting a loan? I think it's kind of a bit of a similar question we asked earlier. A person with personal credit, how does that impact his situation going forward?
Yes, on the economic injury disaster loan, we have a requirement. It's a lower credit requirement right now, so I will encourage him to apply and don't disqualify himself.
You'll never succeed if you never try, that's for sure, and the best way to apply there is SBA.gov, and of course our favorite 800 number, 659-2955. And one question, let's say you've applied for a loan, how do you keep track of it? And Ryan has got a question about how to view progress on loan application. Ryan, you're on with David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for taking my call. So my question is, right when all this rolled out, I own a residential real estate company, and I could just see this is going to be impactful. So reached out to SBA. The disaster loan program was there, and so we applied right out 2 weeks ago now. Now I got a submission acknowledgement in my email, but then I haven't heard anything from anyone since. And as I've gone back, I can't log in and check on the status of my application anymore. And it as you mentioned, I mean, it looks like it's completely streamlined differently than how it was when I initially submitted the application. So I think my largest question for you guys is, so would my application still be being processed? Is it being looked at? Do I have to go back and do it again now that this has been streamlined? If there's anybody else in that same situation as me, they might be wondering the same thing, and just curious what the best thing to do is.
Great question, no doubt. David and Elizabeth, what do you know for Ryan?
If your application was submitted and you got an email saying they got your application, I think you are fine. You can call the 1-800 number to get an update, and the streamlined application will be good to apply again if you want to get the $10,000 loan advance. If you need the advance, loan advance, then you must reapply on the streamlined application. But if you are fine, just call the 1-800 number and get an update on your loan application.
Great intel, no doubt. And that number is 800-659-2955. And again, Congressman Carter's got 3 offices stand ready to assist. Round Rock, 512-246-1600. Temple is 254-933-1392. In your nation's capital, Washington, D.C., 202-225-3864. Congressman Carter's website, carter.house.gov, where we've got regular updates on coronavirus relief, not just SBA stuff, but everything else, and we're here to assist any way we can on any of that. And, of course, Small Business Administration, SBA.gov, and all the great resources that are there and available for small business owners as we all try to get past this coronavirus situation. Unfortunately, folks, that's all the time we have for questions now. I'm going to kick it over to Congressman Carter for some brief closing remarks, and, of course, our deepest thanks to David and Elizabeth with the Small Business Administration. So, Congressman Carter, on to you.
Well, thank you, Grady, and first and foremost, Grady, David and Elizabeth, thank you for your participation and your assistance. We appreciate it very much. I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. I know there's tons of questions out there. We try to get as many as we can because we want the participation. They gave you a lot of good information, but I'm sure there's still many other questions. I know many of you folks are at home with your families. I want to remind you to keep following the CDC guidelines. My website and social media pages are constantly being updated with resources and timely information you might need. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to call my office, 512-246-1600, or visit my website, carter.house.gov. I know you've heard that a lot, but I want to tell you that it's an honor and privilege to be your congressman, and hope you'll all stay safe and healthy. And let's just hope and pray that this will be over with soon. Wish we could just give you details. It seems that we don't have details on everything yet, but don't hesitate to ask. If you don't ask, the answer is no. So go ahead and ask and go out there and make your applications. And good luck and God bless to all of you. Thank you, Grady.
All right, thanks, folks. Thanks for listening in. Remember, SBA.gov, www.carter.house.gov. We're here to help. Thanks, folks. And thank you to David and Elizabeth.